Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Opportunistic Trader. It's January 16th, and we're joined by Tracy Shuchart. How's it going today, Tracy?
Good, how are you?
Good. Got a lot going on. I thought that we'd start out. Energy inventory numbers just came out about half an hour ago, and I thought that
Right.
we could kind of go over. It seems like products are trading lower. Crude's down 75 cents. I see RBOB's trading
Yeah.
down about 1.5%. What were your thoughts on the initial release?
Yeah, gasoline, we've had 2 weeks in a row, we've had these big product builds, which is pretty ungood for refiners. So if you're not trading futures, another way that you could play this is in refiners, because we have crude up about $10. We don't have gasoline up that much, and they're overproducing. So these guys' margins are getting crushed. So short refiners would be um, something that I would look at in order to play this, see if you're not, trading the future side.
Yeah, and so based on this, what do you think is the implications based on the last kind of few releases that we're seeing?
Well, it seems to me that they're, but they're basically turning a crude glut into a product glut. Is what they're doing. So if you look, distillates, both weeks have been high. This week not as high, but gasoline's been astronomical. So they're overproducing at a time where winter demand is a cyclical downtime. So it's not looking good for products wise, for certain.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll definitely keep an eye on that. But taking a look at technicals, the past few weeks you've been taking us through the major markets that you look at: S&P, Euro, crude, gold, a few other things. So I guess if you could take us through, we've had some big moves, especially in the equity markets. How's it looking like on the
Yeah.
charts?
Well, okay, so we'll start with gold because that's what I have up right
Oh,
now.
great. Okay.
Right now we're in another consolidation zone. We have a symmetrical triangle here. So um, the play would be, if it breaks to the upside, look for a retest and then up. And again, this 307 to 316, last year's POC is a really important level. So I could see, I would be again looking in this level if it reached up here to short. But in like the shorter term, how you would play this is look for the triangle break either up or down, retest, and then take that trade. However this triangle decides to break.
Yeah, so it's really coiling for the past about month now, and so you're
Right.
seeing once we break out of that kind of side wedge triangle, that the next $20 or $30 could be based on that next move.
Correct. So
Gotcha. And
that's
it's
what I would
too early
I
to
would think.
tell, sort of thing. And it's kind of similar to what we've been seeing with Vince. He's been getting chopped up a little bit, but it's been more. It's been such a consolidation around this 1290 level. It looks like the next move,
Yeah.
once we get like that 1300 or 1280, and so it looks like that's what you're looking for as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like the pattern would be, it's hard to tell with symmetrical triangles which way they're going to break. Generally they do break up, but that's not always the case, because this is like literally a perfectly symmetrical triangle pattern. So again, how you would play that is you wait for the break, retest the triangle, and then take the move in the direction, um, in that direction.
What about, has
So that's what
volume been telling you anything?
So when I look, it's not. I don't really look at volume that much, not in gold. It would be really nice to see COT reports, but again, the government shut down.
Yeah, tell me
Kind
about
of
that. So we haven't
do
had
what,
data
yeah,
COT reports in nearly a month.
right.
Based on it, people that you speak to, is that even important? Like,
Well, personally, I think that it's a highly underused tool. I think that for, maybe for some things it doesn't matter as much for the products. I think for, if you're looking at the energy markets in particular, I think it's super important to know, you know, where people are positioned, especially when we just had a $10 move up. Now, what I would be looking for is, are these real buyers? Are these committed buyers? Or, or has overall, OI stayed the same, and maybe we had some short covering. and not real, not real long commitments, right? So it would kind of help, I think, to know, where is everybody positioned right now? Is
Yeah,
this really
absolutely.
a new long? Are people really adding longs? And if so, can we expect to move higher? Or is this just a little bit of short covering? Um, you know,
I also
and
wonder,
things like that.
their algorithms these days that take in thousands of different data points and then project out based on all these thousand things, where they think the market's going. And some do use COT data, and I'm wondering
Right.
how much that's throwing off of their models and things like that, if at all.
Yeah, that would be very interesting too, I think. So
What about oil? How does oil look?
oil, bring that over. Oil, we're really just sitting in, we're back into, here's what was the post OPEC meeting when they said they wanted to stabilize the market. We kind of bounced around in here for a couple weeks. Then we took that final dive into Christmas. Then we're right back up into this consolidation zone. So it really wouldn't surprise me if we kind of bounced around in here a little bit, until, I think everybody's looking at this like it's maybe a head and shoulders, and we're going to make a move up. But I'm not really a big lover of that pattern. I think it's less than reliable. So, I would be looking for it to either, break to the upside this range or break to the downside this range.
And what
I
sort
would
of
want it to
price
break,
level?
retest. Again, it's another break, retest, and go. And crude is, very, trades very well technically that way.
I'm looking at the RSI that you have below there. Is that signaling that we're overbought right now?
Yeah, we're very overbought right now.
That said, it's interesting if you go back to, it looks like about beginning October, that RSI was signaling overbought, but it probably wasn't, it was about another month that we continued to grind up and then we came off.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I guess the way you're
No,
showing it, no, we were pretty close
yeah,
to
I
the
mean,
high
right
there.
here, that's where we kind of took a dive. So, um, you know, again, people are looking at this as the head and shoulders, I'm sure, but again, I don't think that's really a reliable pattern. So I, again, would be just looking for a range break, retest and go, keeping in mind that we are pretty oversold here.
Yeah. What about S&P?
So S&P, let's see. So S&P, we're getting right up into, that final range that I talked about the other week, where, I would be looking, we were kind of down here a little bit, or a little bit below that, actually. I said look for, it was, 50 points, but, I was looking at this area and this area, for a potential short for another leg down. So we're still kind of in that, you know, kind of getting to the upper range of that level.
What if we take that level out? What does it look like? I mean, does then it look like 2720 the next level of resistance, or?
Well, I mean, if you took this out, then I would be looking at this triangle right here around 2640. This trend line right here, I'd
Right.
be looking for
Yeah, that does
26,
look like a pretty
2640.
well-defined trend line right there.
Right. So that's what, I would really 2630, 2640. I know a lot of people are looking at that area. It also, hits this HBN right here. So you're going to find out pretty quickly if we're going to, reject through that or not. I like the 30 area just because it's where we, the,
Yeah, it's pretty much where we broke down from. That
exactly.
was the
So,
level you were talking. That was the infamous before, like around December 12th or so when you joined us, and you
right.
were saying it was about
Well,
this
and we
level.
also have, we kind of have a lot of tails in this area. So that means that, this area hasn't really been accepted that well. So I would be looking for a reject out of it.
Right. Anything else on the volume or the TP? Is it
So,
TPS?
well, I mean, as far as volume, it's not on this chart, but I mean, if you look, we're pretty much rising on declining volume, which is also another sign that, you know, we possibly are not finished with the downside. You don't really want to see moves up in declining volume. So watching that closely as well.
Sure. What else? Any other markets you're looking at that I know you scan a lot of markets. Anything else that looks interesting at the
So
moment
no,
for a possible
well,
setup?
dollar USD, I'm still a dollar bill. We held this 95 really nice,
Yeah.
which was minor support. We're bouncing up
Such
our
a tight
first.
range over the past 3 months.
I know our first resistance is at about 96.5. And then I have ATR resistance back up at 97, which makes sense. But I'm still bullish USD.
Yeah, yeah. It's been in a really tight range. I guess we're waiting. I don't even know what we're really waiting on, to tell you the truth. I mean, it's just a typical year. You wait for the next catalyst, but the
Right.
Fed. We've already, the Fed was perceived as hawkish in October, November. Now they, revised that to being, a bit more in line with the market. So we'll see what happens next with because this dollar index that you're looking at is very heavily weighted in euros, so that's the
Right.
major driver. But most people that I've been speaking to on the currency side are looking for a currency decline, the dollar to decline this year,
I know
and euro to
everybody's
strengthen.
looking for it, and everybody was looking for it last year too, and look what happened. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely.
I'm still a dollar bull. I'm the contrarian here.
I'm more inclined to lean with you, thinking that we're actually going to, regardless of what happens with the Fed, when it comes down to it, our interest rates are still significantly higher than anywhere else in the world. And you take a look at the government shutdown as a possible reason to sell dollars, I've heard, and this and that. But when it comes down to it,
Well,
our yield is paramount to anything else in G10 right now. And so people are going to be
exactly.
chasing yield.
Exactly. And the euro dollar market is signaling a stronger USD. So I mean, I'm still bullish USD.
Yeah. Now, I asked you a little earlier in the day, take a look at the Bitcoin chart. Not that you or I have
Yes.
really traded it, but just from a technician standpoint. And I was wondering if
Right.
you had
So
that
I have
available.
never traded this, but let's go. We can go through the chart. I had to pull up a chart from investing.com, but because the futures chart didn't go back far enough.
Yeah.
So I mean, basically, I mean, this chart is still basically we've had just a series of, this is very technical series of wedges that have broken down. We have another series, we're stuck in another wedge too. So, I mean, this could move up to the top of the wedge again, up at like 39.74, or it could just break down from here. Where I would be looking at for a next level of support is 29.73 area, and then if it fails that, the next support area is down at 1981 ish. But I mean, this is definitely a bearish chart pattern. So if it were to hit the upper range of this wedge again, 39,
What? Here's a
I don't
question
know,
for you.
39, 4,000. I'd probably look to short that. I think your RR would be really good to short there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would look to, I would, or otherwise, if you want to buy this, I would, look around, 3,000, 2,900 to take a stab at
Yeah. So
buying
here's a
this.
question about technical analysis, and this chart, I think, it probably displays it perfectly. So you're saying, you displayed very nicely the triangle pattern wedges over the past year here, and being that it's bearish. But if you take a look to the left when we were going straight up, I think people would also, and yourself, you could draw those same sort of triangles back in like July, and then another one back in like
Absolutely, and going
September.
up.
And then
Yep.
people say, hey, that's a bullish wedge. That's great for technical analysis. It's like a bullish. So my question is, why is that one bullish and this one bearish from a purely technician
Because
standpoint?
you're from a purely technical point, because it's the nature of the waves within this, right? So it's how these waves work. You want to see an up first and then a down. It's also you're trending down, so these play very nicely when you're trending down,
Yeah.
as well as when you're trending up. So I didn't draw the bullish ones, uh, but if I did, it would still, you're looking for like a flagpole, right?
Yeah, and so this
You're
in a
looking
way is
like
the
a
downward
flagpole. So
flagpole.
you're
So
just going down, but you're trending down, and they happen when you're trending up as well.
what would happen? I'm just kind of, well, I guess so. If we were to trade up to 6,000 right now, as an example, and then let's say 3 months kind of go in a sideways flaggish pattern, would you then say that the next flag that's bullish, and then the next flag
Yeah,
pattern
I
should
mean,
be
if we
higher?
started trading up and we traded in a, kind of a wedge pattern up here, then I would say it'd probably break up.
Right. Okay. So then the
Right? Because
flag
you're
would
going to
be
have, like, say we traded up here, you'd have a flagpole up,
right.
right? And then say you went, did a little triangle thing, and I would expect, it to move up again. So that's what, where I would be looking. But we don't have a trend change here yet.
No, certainly
And
not. Certainly not.
where we are sitting right now is, there's not really a lot of support there. So, again, you have to look at the horizontal lines as well. So we're right here, there's, not a whole lot of support here. There's this little part, but, I don't think that's enough to hold it. If you look over here, you have more of like a support resistance. You can't really see that, but there's a wick on this candle that's right on this line.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then this area would be, or does it come to this area and, kind of gain acceptance, trade in a range a little bit, and then start moving up?
Right.
Because we like, the markets like to go, they like to gravitate towards supply and demand areas. So really, this is kind of your area where, it traded for, a good 3 months. That would be, more of a supply area, and at least a level where it had something to bounce off of.
Right. No, I think that I haven't traded it, but it's a classic technical. It's had a lot of classic technical patterns, I guess, over the past 2 years within this large move, so more so than anything.
Right. So that's but again, I don't trade this, but just from
Yeah, no, that's why I asked for the
current
complete
standpoint.
unbiased, just from the technician standpoint. That's what I was kind of interested in, and that was perfect. A lot of great information there. All right, I appreciate it. Tracy Shuchart has been joining us regularly, taking us through the technicals. Look forward to it. Thanks, and we'll speak soon.
All right, thanks.